welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be doing a Q&A about our experience in Korea, and like the summer and the program that we did and stuff. And I'm here with my good friend Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm Lanaya's friend, and I'm in my senior year of college. And I study studio art, so I really like making things, manual things. I don't know. That's my spiel.
Yeah. Let's get into this Q&A. And so I got a couple questions from people from Instagram and like one from like YouTube and stuff like that. And then I added some extra like basic questions just to like, keep us going on a good start. So I
Um,
do you want to start?
you can start.
Okay. Um so the program that we did was called KISLP, Korean Intensive Summer Language Program. It is hosted by American councils that collabed with Chungbuk National University in South Korea. And I heard about this program after getting rejected from another study abroad program. And in our like little group chat with some of the people that also like applied to that one, they sent a link and were like, hey, this one's also like open that you guys should apply to and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is my chance. I'm gonna go for it again.
Mm.
So that's how I found about it. What about you?
So I had already been to Korea the previous summer, but I was trying to find like an internship or something to allow me to be in Korea again and actually like work my Korean. And my teacher actually forwarded the email that the program manager, Merritt, sent out to a lot of Korean professors and stuff like that. So basically, I heard it through word of mouth of my teacher forwarding it to us. And so I looked into it and it looked very, you know, exciting and truly all I've ever wanted. So I definitely, that's when I applied.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um, I personally, when it came to like applying to like the scholarships, I was hesitant, not because of like just applying to scholarships in general,
mhm,
but unfortunately, I have a little bit of doubt about my capabilities of achieving such scholarships and whatnot. But I say just write it anyways and submit all that you can, and whatever fits your needs and whatever fits your, like whatever you trying to find a good choice of words, but everyone that you're eligible for, you should apply for. Um, like no jokes, no serious, all serious, because you don't know where you're going to get money from and how much you're going to get. So I think applying to as many as possible, um, and for as much as possible is very crucial when applying for scholarships, especially through American Council, because I think that's like the best bet for getting scholarships, truly speaking. And I mean, you can always apply for like the Gilman and stuff like that, but like I think there's less certainty on actually receiving that grant
mhm,
than it is applying straight from American Council.
yeah.
Um, and then also um, with the application, I recommend like starting ahead. I'm a huge procrastinator, um, like a huge procrastinator, but I knew for the essays you have to write one in the language that you choose, or not that you choose but you have to,
Yeah.
program that you apply for. So we had to write an essay in Korean and then an essay in English and then another essay. There were two, oh no, there were two essays. I wrote a couple more for the scholarship.
But definitely starting ahead is going to be great because the depending on your language level and how confident you feel in writing, the language essay can, I know for me it was a real struggle. And I yeah. But as for
Also,
the what?
like one thing that like I don't think it's like acknowledged enough is that you're supposed to do like that completely free of anything, like any help.
Anything.
So like I mean you can like look up certain words, but you really shouldn't like do anything beyond your capability. Then you can't even have your teacher read it. Because I was gonna ask for my teacher to read it and I had written all the emails, sent it and everything like that. And then I looked back at the requirements and I was like, oh, actually, scratch that. I can't have you read it.
So, next question is what were the daily expenses for stuff like food and transportation?
I think it depends on where you are and who you are as a person.
Mhm,
These are
mhm.
very crucial things to know and very important to how you decide your budget. Um, so like we were in Cheongju, which the only modes of transportation are one of two things. Well, three. You could either take the bus,
Mhm,
the T money,
mhm,
you could take a taxi,
mhm.
or oops, they're telling me I need to go to sleep. Or you drive, which
Oh yeah, you could drive.
can't you being part of the program, you can't actually
Operate a moving vehicle.
exactly. So you really have one of two options unless you have someone a friend that drives, which is relying on someone else's
Mhm.
transportation. When it comes to transportation, those are the expenses that you're looking at. So T money, like commuting, like inner city, usually with like 1,250,000 won or something like that.
Yeah.
So
It was like, yeah, it
about a
was.
dollar one way and about a dollar another way. So it's not a high expense.
Yeah.
Um and then taxis were also personally not bad at all.
I think I only like it was always like $10 or less.
But it really just depends on who you are or like where you are, where you're
Could be.
going, how far. But for the most part, within budget or within like reasonable amounts for the convenience of it,
Yeah.
like how quickly you'll get to places. Because at least in Cheongju, um, the buses go a very long way to get to somewhere close. But that's because they're
Yeah. That was
just
interesting.
circling the city, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
Um, and what else? But when it comes to regular expenses like food, it depends on who you are.
And
Um,
where you are. Okay.
where
One of
you
the
are.
things I noticed being both in Cheongju and in Seoul was that in Seoul, obviously, like between Seoul and Cheongju, like public transportation is around the same price everywhere. However, when it comes to like taxis and stuff like that, that can be a slightly bit more pricey. But again, compared to the States, it's not as bad. In food wise, Cheongju was cheap, my G. Like we're looking like the one of the things that you can like note of how cheap a like restaurant or like cafe is how low their Americano is. Because Americanos are normally like the cheapest thing there. And in Cheongju, it was around like $3 or $4.
Mhm.
And in Seoul, they're around like like $5 or $6.
Yes.
And yeah, so Seoul's just a lot more expensive, but yeah, it really just depends. But even if you're going by yourself, I think it's like $15 max for like one meal, if anything. But yeah,
Max.
max.
And by $15, $15,000. No, that's crazy.
50,001.
50,000 run,
It's
which
like
is like literally
$12.
12.
Yeah.
So it's very affordable. I mean, it depends on what's affordable for you, but it's very um budgetable, I
Yeah.
think. And then also because we were doing it through the university, we got cafeteria food for free. Which I can speak that when I was doing Korea University summer program, that was not free and
Oh,
that was not covered for. So when I was in Korea in Seoul studying over the summer, I it was like 5,000 won for cafeteria food.
mm,
Um, so during the program, you really don't have to pay for food, for the most part. But if you want to have food outside of the time that the cafeteria is open, or if you want to have food, that's part of Cheongju of the city, or like just literally anything other than cafeteria food, it's upwards of 15,000 won, which
yeah.
is not too bad. But when it comes to budgeting, it also depends on like what kind of person you are, and like what you like spending money on.
Hmm.
Because when it comes to clothes, I can speak that clothes are more expensive in Seoul.
Yeah.
Um, that's just being in a bigger city. I
And
think it's like
department
the
stores,
department stores.
extremely expensive.
Exactly. Like I think you should know where you're shopping and where uh what kind of clothes you want to get and like what kind of quality you're looking for. But in Cheongju is much cheaper. And on a lot of other things, it just really just depends on like what kind of lifestyle you have and what kind of things you like in doing. If you like traveling, well, it's gonna go up there in price. Like, but keep in mind if you do it a little further in advance, like booking tickets and stuff like that, I think the price is significantly lower. And I don't really know how far or how much the tickets for Cheongju to Seoul and back were.
I can speak on that one. So for tickets going from Cheongju to Seoul, at least bus wise, it very much depended on which class of like seats you wanted. So if you're choosing a bus that was like premium versus like economy versus like I think excellent or whatever, those just varied in prices because there's more like there's more amenities. But I think the most expensive ticket that I had round trip was like 18,000 won,
That's
and
amazing.
and the cheapest was around 8,000.
Mm.
But it was cheaper going from
Going from Seoul to Cheongju?
yeah, I think it was cheaper going to Seoul from Seoul to Cheongju than with Cheongju to Seoul because why would you go to
That
Cheongju?
was crazy.
That was crazy.
That was crazy. But now I have a reason.
Now I have a reason. That was now I have a reason.
Now I didn't actually eat there, but I had a bite of your food.
My food. Where?
I don't know the name.
What was it? What food was
But it
it?
was like the braised pork belly.
Oh my gosh. Where we had Possum? I don't know what that place was called. Actually, let me look it up because I'm pretty sure I like started. Um,
I have a pen there, but obviously the pen, I
that
don't want
was
to go.
life changing. When I tell you that was the best pork belly like I've ever like had.
I like that place called Warray.
Oh, the Roy workroom.
Point is, I really liked it. Um, really,
That
I
was
mean,
the
I would
best.
always
That was
get
the best.
like the desserts and then like the Americano. Um, so and they had this really good black tea cake with like the citrus top.
Are you
It was
talking about the
pretty
Earl
good.
Grey with like passion fruit?
It wasn't passion fruit,
What was it?
but it was Earl Grey, and it was like, oh no, it was that Korean citrus, I think. That's
Oh
not an orange, but not a lime, but it looks like the combination. Fusion.
no, that was like actually like really good. I think that was one of the best cakes that we've had.
No, I'm very serious too.
I'm very
I'm not sarcastic right now.
like no, that was a really good cake.
I would say for me, I feel like it depends on like whether it's my expectations of what the program was meant to be
Mm.
or Cheongju itself. When I went into it, my only goal really was to just improve my Korean,
Mm.
um, in any way, shape, or form I could. And I think what was a real shock to me was how incompetent I was, or not necessarily incompetent, but where my level was in the beginning and where I stood. Um, because I think, you know, in school, you're like, oh, I studied for 2 years plus. And in my case, I studied it academically 2 years, self-taught, and, through Saturday school for 3 years prior to that. So, I had higher expectations for my capabilities, despite my realities. And I think that adjusting to um having to go get out of my comfort zone with like asking for orders and not just doing the kiosk um was not a huge adjustment, but an adjustment that I had to make if I wanted to improve my speech. And then also that it's nothing like Seoul in the sense of what there is to do, what transportation there is, um, how far you can go. Because with our program, we had to stay in the city of Cheongju. So we had to really see what there was there.
Hmm.
Um, and also like the people in general. Um, and I feel like luckily for me, I've had like experiences in countries more I guess not necessarily insensitive, but unfamiliar with black people. I went to China. And although I loved my experience there, um that gave me a culture shock that makes anything less than like the experience of being black in China
Hmm.
literally um minuscule. Um so my experience, I think, and also I the previous summer had gone to Korea too. So like I wasn't like taken aback by how many stares we got. Because at the end of the day we are black in Korea. But also there is no diversity in Cheongju of people of color, I would say, or black people. There were like less than my two palms of in the entire city. Um,
Yeah, like we have seen slash talked to almost all the black people in Cheongju.
Scratch that. We have talked to all of the black people.
Well, like there was like
I
uh,
have talked to everybody, but
okay, you definitely have talked to every single person in Cheongju, black person in Cheongju. I've
yeah.
talked to at least most of them. I only just didn't talk to like maybe one of the two black guys there.
Oh, those. Oh, I forgot. Never mind. I haven't talked to all of them. You're so right. I just,
But
my
we
bad.
also all the black women in Cheongju.
Yes,
Every single black woman we've talked to in Cheongju. Because it was
exactly.
like
Actually,
four.
little, what are they called? Not ad lib, but like detour. One of the black people helped me with. Oh, you were there. That
Yeah.
was sick. Well, wouldn't it be better to look in the daytime and then disappear in the night? Okay, thank you for your help.
So yeah, it was a lot of it was just different experiences. But like honestly though, it was cool to figure out how to like readjust. And also it gave me a lot more grace and also being like, okay, these people are just some people are just genuinely just curious or genuinely don't know. And so
Hmm.
it didn't feel like something I needed to like constantly correct or educate people on. It just felt like, okay, maybe I'm the person that maybe I might be the only person to have exposure to. And so this is their one, I guess, experience. But like at the end of the day, I do have to inform them at some point, maybe that maybe if they do interact with another black person, it might not go over as well.
Hmm. And also, like, I mean, the way that my parents like prepared me for going abroad and stuff
Mhm.
like that was that I'm literally, and you are also like representation, or like we are the representative of black people in
Yeah.
America.
Mhm.
We are black, the monologue or the monolith of
Yeah.
black people,
Hmm.
despite being not a monolith at all.
Hmm.
So this is really their only exposure to black people,
Right.
unless they go abroad or unless they're in Seoul. So basically, if they have questions, you're their source, you know? And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Um, but
We had a couple really fun days.
we had
Yeah, no, yeah, we had multiple.
multiple times each week. It
Yeah.
was so fun. I really did enjoy, and I enjoyed my time with basically everyone.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
I
the
was
writers, though. Like honestly, they really made it.
literally all of them.
Really owe them. Ah, my homies.
Good different shit.
But yeah, no, like, and then just like in Chongju specifically, like there wasn't as much that we were like necessarily doing. So it wasn't like, oh, what was your favorite like fun thing that we did? It wasn't necessarily just like went someplace, did something fun. It was more like the vibe and overall experience of just being with people and getting to talk and hang out with them. That's what made it fun. And doing different things. Like I think the most favorite like thing that we did was the arcade.
So much fun.
I'm gonna go to.
Especially when we saw those people go on. That was crazy.
It was crazy.
That
The
was
cou- the couple that like was so good at whatever dance. It was like Dance Revolution or whatever. I don't know, but it was good. And then, but my favorite thing that I did, at least in Seoul, no, it wasn't even in Seoul. When I went to Jeonju,
mm,
one of the oh, when I went to Jeonju, my favorite thing was seeing that musical on the water, which was really cool.
oh,
That was
that's
really,
nice.
'cause that just was like a cool, fun experience, and I was like little geeking out a little bit. But then
Mm,
also in Jeonju, Taekwondo. Never mind. Taekwondo.
that was a lot of fun. Wait, you want to see what I have?
We went to Daejeon and we got to do Taekwondo, and time of my life. You have your belt. Oh, that's the board I broke and signed.
And signed,
Picture of that?
autographed. It was July 25th.
July 25th.
Adine.
But yeah, those are like some. Also, I really did like making the perfume things. It was
That was so
fun.
much fun.
It was so much fun.
I'm actually more dramatic than it has to be. But one of my moments that I really appreciate rather um was after we went to Caribbean Bay
Mhm.
and you texted me saying you were gonna hang out with Sujong and Taerim, and you were like, you can join. Because that was the day after, or the night after I'd lost my hearing aids. And then at the amusement park, I was waiting in line for 7 hours to ride one wide, where we didn't end up riding it.
So,
And,
so sad.
I ended up having like this crazy breakdown because I was like, how did this happen? Because my hearing aid fell out of my ear. It wasn't like I dropped it or I lost it, or it just fell out of my ear. So I had a rough day, but I knew if I wanted to redeem my spirit and redeem my day, then I should spend it with time or spend time with people who care about me. Um, so that was a very nice day. Because I didn't know what to expect. And I really enjoyed my time that I spent with not only you, but Sujong and Sadie. It was very restorative. For me, as we already stated, I lost one of my hearing aids. Um, so it was very hard for me. Because when I originally went into the program, they placed me into the elementary level because of the placement of my listening and speaking capabilities. But in academic settings, my listening and speaking capabilities are drastically different. When it comes to, conversational, I was not good at all. But when it came to understanding classroom instructions, find me a paper and pen, I can do that all. So I switched into the intermediate class with Lanaya, and then after that, I was like, okay, I can actually keep up, and I think that this is the best adjustment for me. But when I lost my hearing aids, I felt like I should have just stayed in the elementary class just due to how much attention I had to bring to concentrating on what people were saying rather
Like,
than listening, I guess. Huh?
like,
Because like when it comes to like my hearing, at least it was like I can hear what you're saying, but it takes me a second to focus in to what you're actually saying because it was much more softer for me to hear. So it was pretty difficult for a while. Um, but when it came to learning the environment, I really enjoyed. The teachers were wonderful and so helpful and so accommodating. So I appreciated them. And honestly, I feel like I got a lot out of it. But at the same time, I think that the format was definitely one that I hadn't really experienced much before. And I will say that now looking back, I can say that the books that we used when we had like the review packet, it resembled like the format of the topic. Um, yes. So I would say that those books are best for like preparing for Korean like proficiency test. Um, but yeah, I would say that I learned a lot, but at the same time, I think that I wish there was a little more review.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because like a lot of the stuff was us just going over vocab and not like grammar structures. So now my vocab has like increased quite a bit, which is nice because like that's one of the things I need. But my grammar is very limited. So like the types of sentences that I make is not as like various. But for me with learning the language, honestly, I thrive best in like a classroom setting because it's easier for me to interact and actually like practice and listen, which I can't get as much at home. Um, but yeah, I agree. Like it was a little formal in like the sense of it was did seem like they were trying to prepare us for like the topic. Um, and in that case, I feel like it wasn't as helpful for me, but like the teachers and stuff like that were like super nice, super engaging. So that made all the difference. And I also liked how like we had one teacher specifically who was our main teacher, and she was like constantly like pushing me to do my best, which at first like it really annoyed me. So I was like, bro, like just let me live. It's okay. But overall, like I really appreciated it because I think it actually helped me like grow. Um, so yeah. Um, as for out of classroom practice, I think being in Chongju made it 10 times better
Oh
because
yeah.
the minute I went to Seoul, it was a lot harder for me to practice Korean than it was obviously in Chongju, in which I every day that we were basically forced to practice in one way or another. For either reading, speaking, or texting people. So yeah. It was a good learning environment, at least for me. So
Mm. I can speak on that too. I think that being in Cheongju made me get over the fear of making mistakes. Um, when before, like, not that you're gonna talk to her, but like the person that interviewed me can vouch for me, and saying that I was a scaredy cat. Um, I was so petrified of making mistakes that I didn't even try.
mm,
Um, and in Cheongju, you have to. Of course, there are people who are accommodating and who are like, speak broken English to you. And of course, there's people who do know English, but for the most part, the majority do not. And from a learner's standpoint, that is very helpful,
mhm,
um, because that forces you to make mistakes and try to actually communicate. And when they understand you and when it rolled off your tongue a little more, it's so much easier. Um, and of course, I had higher expectations for myself than I did actually achieve, but I think that it's important to, set expectations for what you want to get out of, the program.
mhm.
And I think that was what helped me like really try.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Jasmine, for joining me for this debrief slash Q&A.
Of course. You know where I be. In my studio
I'll
duties.
later.